Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about Octopi Trader interface, the 30,000 foot view. So if you're just joining us, this video is for you. If I can get this done in less than 10 takes, I might begin liking making these videos. But so far, it's not looking like it. Let's go hang out in the interface. All right, so everything top to bottom, left to right. We've got tabs on the left, each with their own significance. We'll dedicate a video to likely every one of these. We've got under operations this main section right down the middle, which we will use and describe a little bit in a second. And we've got over to the right a replicate section of the interface, which we'll definitely dedicate a video to, but I'll cover briefly here in a sec. So to go back in order, under operations, you have your general controls of what it is that you're creating, where you're creating the strategy, and what specific strategy that you're creating. Strategy configuration, I use them interchangeably, so don't mind me. First portion is the target instance. As I mentioned in my about videos, this is a multi-instance control software. So as many instances as you use within Sierra, this is how many instances you can reference and apply your configurations to. So your first order of business is pick where it is that you are configuring, what it is that you're configuring. Pick your instance, hit load. Once you load the instance, it populates the rest of the interface with information relevant to that instance. Sierra Chart is Windows compartmentalized software. So anytime it creates a new instance, it clones the relevant settings from the main instance. From there on, you can modify anything inside. So this is why we do what we do here. When we select instance 2, we're not affecting instance 1 and so forth. Should make sense. Then we have the portion for configuration manager. This is where you have your collection of configurations. You may try obviously different things, see what works and what markets. And this is where we keep just that. So for this instance loaded, we have these couple of things that we've been trying. Some of these are demo. That's largely irrelevant for this video, but all of the obvious self-explanatory operations that can be done are here in button form. Create new, clone, import, export if you want to share with friends, edit, delete, rename. What's important is activate. So once you select your instance, you go through the rest of the tabs to configure what you need to configure to execute your trades. You do hit activate. That sends all the instructions over to Sierra Chart, and Sierra Chart can then replay using your settings or trade live. Couple of other buttons to click. We have ability to trade 24 hours. We also have ability to set time windows. We have ability to flatten and cancel at the end of every one of those or any one of those windows. Pick and mix and match to configure it the way you wanna trade. All of this is a possibility. We can briefly look at settings. Largely, the only thing that you're gonna do here is update. We have a stable release and we have some new functionality that we like to send out using the pre-release version updates. So if you're on the bleeding edge of what we're developing, you can go ahead and visit that. Anytime you update, you'll get an update window with what it is that's done that's different. So you know what goes on in our development and what we're fixing. We'll address replicate just briefly, but what it is for is when you're making a configuration for, let's say, instance 1, it may be the case that that same configuration you'd like to try on other instances and other markets. Without going too deep in this video, this is what this right section is for. Clone one to many. Let's visit signals. Signals is one of the 3 mandatory windows that you have to configure in order to get Octopi Trader to trade for you. This is the Y enter trade or Y exit trade configuration. Everything here we'll talk about in a separate video, but all of this is point and click. referencing variables directly from the chart. We have access to different bar values. We have access to helper variables, which we'll cover in a little bit. We have access to order components, basically lots of different things that we can click on to make a reason for us to either, again, enter, exit, or modify a trade. This is where that lives in under signals. You also have ability to reference signals that you've created for previous configurations. All of this, again, was done point and click. So if you don't want to redo something, you can just reference that. That's what the right side of the window is for. Moving on, let's go to orders. There's a little bit of a note on philosophy. Everything we configure with bracket orders. It isn't to limit anybody from doing otherwise. If you just want to enter market, we can probably accommodate that. But the thought behind Octopi was always to be a very reliable server-side executed trade manager. So in that spirit, we use orders to accomplish that. Orders are submitted to Sierra server-side. Once they're submitted, they're gone and done. Now, not to say that we can't modify orders, we can, and I'll show you how in the following videos. But order window, for the purpose of this video, loosely replicates the capabilities of Sierra bracket creation. So you can add targets and stops, and you can go and modify their parameters in here. Strategies. Strategies puts the two above mandatory fields, signals and orders, together. And it puts them together into what we call strategies, and it gives it all the rules for how to execute your trades. We have everything from name, enabled, disabled, time settings. We can have multiple times for the strategy to execute, the signals for why to enter, the order setup that we've configured, again, the bracket, where to enter. So the software is written in such a way that you can use any variable that you've created anywhere else, so long as it fits, obviously, anywhere that it fits. So if you, for instance, created a custom study, which we'll cover in just a second, that represents a level at which you want to enter, you can then use that level under entry price. So a little bit of philosophy, but this is not what this video is about. So let's get back to that. We have plugins. So strategy may be modified during placement, before it was filled, or after it was filled. These will be expanded as we get more requests for functionality. But for now, we have these couple of guys that greatly enhance trading experience. We'll go over those obviously in a different video. So that's strategies. And these three, signals, orders, and strategies, are really the only mandatory ones that you need to configure to get trading live. For me, I always use custom studies. It just so happens that I always need it. It doesn't mean that you will, but we give you the functionality to use, so why not? Here's how I would describe custom studies. Whereas signals more answer the question, what if something happens? Custom studies answer the question of value. So it returns a value. If you want to return, let's say, a multiple of ATR for a target, which is what I'm doing here for my order setup, you can do that here. If you want to return a pivot point level that is currently below your current price, you get that done here. These are just examples, but you get the idea. You return, with custom studies, you mostly return values that can then be used throughout the software. Then we get into an interesting piece that is called global variables. So this is a little bit of a philosophical discussion again about the software and how it works, but I'll link you to Sierra's documentation for interface to variables and arrays. And as I mentioned, Octopi works with Sierra full on hand in hand. So anything that Sierra can access, we give you the ability to pipe into Octopi Trader. So if you say wanted to access, I don't know, I think I clicked on this earlier, the bid, you can copy the code straight from Sierra, add it directly to Octopi Trader, and then be able to reference that value for whatever it is that you're doing in your strategies. These are just a couple that I've used before. but the point of this window is basically infinite availability of what Sierra can access. Anything you put in here, you can use for your strategies programmatically. So that is global variables. And then the last piece, which is personally my favorite, it's the latest addition to what we're doing. We called it Octograph in the spirit of our software name. But all it is it's a P&L grapher. And when you're done running your simulations, which you can do using CR Chart Replay, you will end up with these files that we can then reference and graph your P&L based on. CR doesn't give you this option, but we do. So as you add the different strategies that you've ran, you can combine them into a common P&L, and the common P&L will tell you, at least for now, maximum profit and drawdown potentials of this strategy. We'll add more statistics later as it becomes relevant, but with this, you could pretty much gauge a lot of what you're doing and answer a lot of questions. At least this is how I work. As you add, this obviously makes it better or worse. And that about does it for the interface overview. I'm not sure how we did it, but we did do it in about 3 takes. I said 10 takes, I would be happy. I am very happy. We did it in 3. I hope the content did not suffer for it. Those of you that know how to post-process and remove word parasites, like what I just did, and, do teach me. For the rest of you, I see you in the next videos. Bye-bye.